Hi, I'm Adam and welcome back to First Man Photography. Now today is the story of how photography saved Christmas. Before we get going today though, this video is sponsored by Squarespace. If you need a domain name, a website or an online store, make your next move with Squarespace. Now I don't know about you, but the older I get, I find the consumerism of Christmas more and more unpalatable. Particularly true for things that are destined for the bin just seconds almost after they've been opened. Now, as photographers, we're lucky because we, through our exploits and our hard work, create things of genuine value. Photographs that, when printed, are tangible and something that is just so worthwhile to give. Something that's come from you, you can pass on to another person in the form of a gift. And it doesn't matter if it's Christmas, a birthday, whatever else, any other time you give gifts. I do this almost every year to somebody, but you don't want to overdo it. You want to know that that person likes your work, and then do it as rarely as possible, because then when you do give the gift of photography, it has that extra meaning and people will be very grateful and it'll feel special. Now, we're very close to Christmas now and I haven't done all my Christmas shopping, usual sort of thing. So I've decided that I'm going to give a piece of my work to someone very close to me. But this person, I'm not going to mention who because I don't want to spoil the surprise, but this person knows my work very, very well. So I don't really want to give something that I've taken already. So today I am going to go out and about over to the Lake District and hopefully capture an image that will be a one of one for this person and hopefully make a really nice Christmas gift. So the challenge is on. One of the things that always happens to me when I have made the effort to do a little bit of research around the location and the weather, and then when particularly I've made the huge effort to get out of bed early, I get this sense of almost like entitlement that somehow, because I have made the effort, I somehow deserve to have great photography conditions. And when I've arrived here this morning, it's not quite what I was hoping for. I was actually hoping for a cloud inversion. Making a good shot was going to be difficult, and is going to be difficult. That's the challenge I have today. Now, since I've hiked up a little bit, the mist and the fog has just rolled in. If it had been like that when I'd started, I probably would have stayed at the lower levels. But there's some interest in the mountains over there. There's some interest in that low cloud base, and there's some interest in the mist rolling through. And maybe as that clears a little bit, something could happen. I mentioned on a video the other week that I really dislike it when other photographers suggest that you should not shoot in popular or honeypots, which I hate that word, but popular locations. And I totally disagree, particularly if you are thinking about selling or gifting your photography, because the famous scenes are what people like to put on their wall because they will often have a connection with that place themselves and they just make beautiful compositions. However, a good view does not necessarily make a good photograph, but many do. The other part of the reason I dislike that kind of talk about not shooting in these places is because when you arrive, you can take the wide vista, the big image, but then if you have interesting weather conditions, then they can produce opportunities that become unique, particularly if you put the long lens on. In terms of the image I'm wanting to capture today, I am going to photograph the wide scene, but I'm going to allow things to develop. There's now a little bit of blue dotted around the sky, as you may be able to see, but the cloud base and the way it's kissing the top of the mountains is just so intriguing. And there's some lovely shapes in the mountains around here as well. So with this on, I'm zooming in onto those interesting bits of cloud, looking for the relationship between the form of the mountain and then the shape of the cloud, how they interact, and then trying to compose an image that, whilst not necessarily beautiful in a more dramatic way, it could be. And I think the key to doing that may be to turn it black and white. So I'm going to start off by shooting straight ahead of me here, but there's just so many places to shoot, and the colour coming into the sky now, which, like I say, I think black and white is going to be the way to go. But straight ahead of me just here is a really interesting piece of cloud. Like I say, the way it's kissing the mountain is just fantastic. So if I go, oh yeah, that, I mean, straight away. It's literally one of those occasions where if you've got the long lens on and you point it at a mountain with some cloud, you're probably not going to get a bad shot. But here I've got some diagonal lines, some triangles essentially, that are making up the composition, almost following the golden triangle rule. And then the way the cloud interacts with that. And it's just beautiful. The issue I'm having though is actually focusing. Because of that mist, it's difficult to focus the camera. It is getting, oh, I mean, that looks so good. My eyes continue to get worse, so manual focusing becomes harder and harder. But I think I've got that now. So let's lock that off into manual focus. Keep this tripod as still as possible. I'm at f8. I need to go down a bit. I love that little bit of cloud though. It's about half a second. f8, ISO 100. And I think with some dramatic, I don't like the word dramatic. I don't think it's that. I'm struggling for the word. Not moody either, but it probably will be moody as I push the contrast with the brighter areas and the darker areas. And it's going to be a deep and a hopefully very meaningful type of black and white image. It looks good on the camera, but I'm looking forward to seeing it in that edited black and white. Yeah, there we go. See what you think. Now we're going to take another image in a minute, but as you know, this video is sponsored by Squarespace, and Squarespace is just the best place for photographers to build a website. And the reason is it is just so easy. We're busy people, we're out and about taking photographs, we don't want to be messing around with a technical, difficult to build website. And Squarespace just makes it so easy with drag and drop blocks that you can just pull in using one of their beautiful templates as a base. Once you put some of your beautiful images on there, a bit of your text, you're going to have a really unique and excellent looking website that just naturally works on all of your screens without any extra effort from you. If you want to, then you can turn it into an online store to start selling some of these prints of these beautiful places that we photograph. I've used them for years. They've got excellent customer service, and the best thing is you get a free trial, so why not give it a go? So go to squarespace.com to start that free trial, and then if you like what you have created, use the offer code FIRSTMAN to get 10% off your first purchase. Right, the light is really starting to come alive now. There's some blue sort of behind us over there, and it's kind of starting to go all around. There's some beautiful yellows, and wow, the cloud brushing the mountains at the top there has just got a really beautiful yellow tinge. So that is what I'm going to photograph. Ooh, exciting. So I have the camera set up, and this time I am going to shoot the wide vista, the beautiful wide vista in these fantastic conditions. And I have it pretty wide on this 16 to 35 millimeter lens. I'm at about 20 millimeters, but I've got this island here towards the right hand bottom rule of thirds, then that set of trees towards the bottom left hand rule of thirds, and then it's all about that mountain vista behind. There are some small ripples in the reservoir. It is very glass-like in many parts of it, but some little areas where there's some disturbance in the air, there's ripples. Now they create a bit of contrast on that surface, which I don't necessarily want because I want it to be about the reflections. And I can remove that little bit of contrast, smooth that out with a long exposure. So I'm going to head down to my bag and unzip this and grab my 6-stop filter, the Polar Pro 6-stop filter, and just slot it into the front like that. I'm going to bring up the live view and reduce the shutter time, and I can see that I'll probably need about 20 seconds. I think that's a bit too long though, so I'm going to up the ISO to 200. So focusing this time is not an issue because it's so much brighter than it was before. And then I'm just going to shoot that and see what happens. I don't think I'm going to need to bracket because I think the sun is sort of coming up behind us over there. So I should be okay to get, with the dynamic range of this camera, to get it all in. I've got a little bit of the road down there, which I don't like. So I don't know, I might actually deal with that by bringing more shadow up, a gradient filter from the bottom left hand corner to darken that off, and that will lead us in nicely to the image anyway. But with the colour in the sky and with those reflections, it's smoothed out some of that contrast from the ripples. It's actually smoothing off even more as I talk. Little glimpses of light at the top of those mountains, which is looking really nice now. That is actually, I think, really quite beautiful. So there we go then, there is the final print, and I am really, really happy with that. It's come out way nicer than I thought when I was at the scene. I felt a little bit down actually when I'd taken it, but the bit of time has passed and I now feel really good, particularly on this kind of high gloss paper. If I just kind of waggle it about, you can see how glossy that is. And that's just working so well for this image because the glassy surface of that water, those reflections, just pop out with this high gloss paper. High gloss paper is often overlooked by landscape photographers, but I think it just looks fantastic. And it has that proper photographic look and feel to the piece of work. So I'm really happy with that. Another piece of work that I'm giving this year as well is this one that I took last week, which I think is probably one of my favorite images of the year. And then I've got another one down here, which I captured quite a while ago, but had been waiting for Christmas to give that. And I love that one as well. So yeah, I mean, just giving the gift of photography can be so special, especially if you then give it to them, you tell them the story about how you captured it, the meaning that it has to you, and share that with the person that you give it to, because they can see that it's not just a thing that they know they're going to have to throw away in a week's time. It's something that can be displayed, be cherished, be loved, and look at and make someone feel good, and then think about us as the photographer. And I think that is a very, very special thing. It doesn't have to be a print. You can give photography as a book, as a single smaller print in a box, something like that. Just pour your generosity into it, pour your art into it, pour your meaning into that, and it will make the gift all the more special. So I hope you have a great Christmas. If you don't celebrate it, just have a great day. And if you get a new camera for Christmas, maybe check out the Raw Room, where you can get my landscape photography masterclass, lots of other tutorials, there's macro stuff, there are presets for Lightroom, loads going on there, so I'll put a link to that down below. And I'll see you on another one very, very soon. Please do as well press that like button as gently as possible, and then subscribe and smash that bell, because that's what you do with bells, isn't it? You whack them as hard as you can. So yeah, that's it. I will see you again very soon.